Well, howdy, physics sleuths and inquisitive souls, and welcome again to another revelation in dynamic gravity. I promised you that my next three videos would be on quarks, antimatter, and the double slit experiment. And I think you're going to find I'm a man of my word. I have been working very hard these last couple weeks, actually, harder than I have ever before working on dynamic gravity since I figured out the math. You see, I knew I had to build a proper foundation to define what a quark is and its structure and how it all works. Otherwise, everything that follows was going to be bullshit, like general relativity and string theory. And so it came quickly to my attention that I had to also conquer the antimatter at the same time. And I did. And in a couple weeks, I'll give you this as well. It's coming, I promise, child. It's coming. You know me. I'm lazy. I have to be motivated to do my work, and I am very hard to motivate sometimes. Like, I'm a little upset right now, I must admit. Apologies. I was playing some World of Warcraft, and I got totally what the fuck pwned, and arena. All by, what the hell was that? By a 13-year-old. Yeah, yeah, I'm so infuriating. Like, oh my god. But, c'est la vie. What can you do? This is life. Sometimes you get curb stomped by a 13-year-old named Noob Stomper 13. Loser. Anyways, not every day can be a good day. What the hell is this? What's this? Das was? Das was? Okay. So, this is going to be a really, probably, I don't know about long, but it's going to be a really crazy rabbit hole we're going in today, kids. We're going to have like a couple of divine revelations. And I don't know if I want to say that all this is divine is the internal structure of the electron. Maybe God didn't need to give me quite so much input to figure this one out. I haven't received a vision in a while, but I will tell you this. I do believe God was with me the whole time, watching me struggle through this one, rooting for me, helping me out every chance he got. Thank you. You're the man. So, yeah, I got to get properly motivated. I'm sorry, you know me. I'm a drunk and a druggie. Today, got a little extra bliss. I need it. 100 milligrams of yours truly, divine inspiration from Shiva himself, the Ganja Lord. Oh, good. Oh, wow. This probably won't even kick in if I'm done this video. You know, right? I mean, maybe it will. Who knows? But it probably won't. So don't get all too worried about me, you shot. I'm Irish. I do my best thinking when I'm drunk and lit off all sorts of various substances. That's who I am. That's what I am, dude. I'm a druggie, yo. But I'm a druggie who cannot be denied. Cast me away at your own peril. Oh, well, as you've probably already seen from the title of this lecture, quarks, come to find out, are also vortexes, just like electrons. Well, not just like, they're different in a couple of ways. And I'm going to have to explain to you very thoroughly, child, that you're never going to understand this shit. And as we did, I've been hashing through this shit the last 2 weeks. Trust me, I've been grinding on my fucking knees trying to figure this shit out. It was not easy. But luckily, I had already conquered everything else I needed to figure this out and save this problem for last, just by pure coincidence, because God loves me. He did this for me. This is a gift to me. And he loves you too. Just sin less. That's all. So quarks are vortexes, all right? They are, but they're not an EM vortex like an electron. An electron is an electromagnetic vortex, okay? And this gives them different properties, but similar in a lot of different ways. All right, let's get started. As always, we're going to Wikipedia just to get our pulse on mainstream science, see what the hell they've got, what they don't got. And quark. Let's talk about elementary particle, fundamental constituted matter. Quarks combine constituted particles called hadrons, and the most stable, which are protons, neutrons, and the components of the damn intrinsic properties, including electric charge, mass, color charge. The color charges, they're trying to understanding the strong nuclear force, but they don't even know what it is. The strong nuclear force is not actually the strong nuclear force. Like this little chart right here, holding these quarks together. Like they say, oh, the strong nuclear force is holding these together. It is changing the color properties of each quark. You don't know what you're talking about. All right. There's two principles that dynamic gravity is based upon. What was this? Black holes, I think. Yeah, black holes. Oh, that was a while ago. Man, I've been on for a while. Okay, so this is a fundamental property you need to understand if you're going to understand how gravity works and everything that follows as far as physics and dynamic gravity was based upon, okay? You have a quark, okay? And quarks are vortexes too. And you have an electron, okay? Make them a little smaller, okay? Now, these two want to combine, right? Because this one's positive and this one's negative. So guess what happens? They combine. They stick to each other. Bloop, bloop. And now this up quark, this aton, or is attached to a electron, now becomes a down quark. And if you don't believe me, let me see. I'm going to prove it to you right now, man. I know what I'm talking about. I am not an idiot. I mean, sometimes, from time to time, I play the role because I am a loser. But let me see if I can try and find pathways. This is like a down quark, right? When a down quark breaks down, one of the things it will emit in a down quark, as it breaks down, it will shoot out this pathway right here. Okay, this is the one we're talking about. Okay, here's a down quark right here. This D down quark. Here's up quark. Okay. Now, a down quark will become, when it breaks down into an up quark plus an electron plus, I believe that's a neutrino, antineutrino. Whenever you have, I'm going to have to dig into this deep, children. This took me a while to wrap my head around with antimatter and anti-everything, okay? This is going to be a whole rabbit hole we're going to go through on that one. It's going to be so much fun. It's great. It's going to be great. You're going to want to drink too. But just know this. When I say this, that a down quark is just an electron and an up quark that have combined, here you go, man. Here's the breakdown pathway. Down quark, up quark, plus electron. Yet, for some reason, physicists can't understand this because they get so caught up in the masses of everything. They say, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. If you add the masses together, then they don't add up to an electron. So they just don't understand what gravity is and how weight actually manifests itself upon mass. And that's what they're trying to measure, the weight, you know. The mass itself, they're trying to, is just like, you know, how much electricity or energy they use to create these particles, but they don't even understand how they're being created. I know how they're being created. They don't. They think they're just gnashing energy together, and out from the energy comes this, and that, and the world, and the universe. No, my son. This is not how it is. It's all interplaying. Things that are doing and very specific things at times. It's how things are being created, okay? This is what's going on. So, Just know this. This is a down quark, and this is a tenements that will let you understand the whole freaking world. I promise. So now we got a down quark from an up quark and electron. Well, we got two more up quarks. Okay, and guess what? Because this down quark has a charge of 1/3 of the electron, this is still a negative entity. So this entity is still going to want to attract positive entities like more quarks. So you got two more quarks. Boop, boop, quarks will travel together. And so now you got three quarks fighting over one electron in the middle. Ergo, a proton. Yeah. And the strong weak force is not actually this fundamental force, dude. It's not, okay? What it is, essentially, is the interplay and dynamics of three quarks, up quarks, fighting over one electron. And they're just the electrons constantly being snapped out of this one's clutches and into the other ones. And this is what they say they describe as color charge, where this nuclear weak force is bouncing from each quark to quark, changing its. No, it's the electrons bouncing from each quark to quark, changing its properties from an up quark to a down quark for like the bazillionth of a second that it's actually in contact before this does a full rotation to create its electric force and then rips it out again. Yeah. I can tell you exactly how electric, in fact, my last video explains all this, how electric forces are created. But for an up quark, although it is going to be the same as an electron, just know this, it's not the EM force. It's not the electric force that's coming out of an up quark. It's something totally different. And we're going to get into this. It's going to be a doozy. Just know, this is a tenet you have to understand if you want to understand the world. And once you understand this, everything starts falling into place. Once you start understanding this and building off this as your basis, your cornerstone, now you can build a beautiful cathedral like St. Peter. Okay? So, quarks and gluons. Yeah, I don't even know what this is. I don't know why I have this. I'm dumb. Okay. So, now spin. Because a quark is also like an electron, a vortex, and vortexes spin, you're going to have the spin. So when they say these particles are spinning, but we know they're not spinning as a whole, yeah, because the vortex is constantly spinning on itself, inside out. That's what its spin is, dude. And that's how it gets its thing. Its intrinsic moment. Okay? Now the flavors are just different energy things, okay? That's all. We'll go into that a little bit later. Spin, blah, blah, blah. Slightly different, though, the spin from that of an electron, because, once again, we're dealing with a completely different entity here. History, yeah, yeah, entomology, quark, blah, blah, blah. Spin, got that, weak interaction. There is something I want to go over here. Here's where they're trying to describe the interplay inside a proton using the color force, and I got the white, and blah, blah. It's all bullshit, kids. It's all bullshit. I just told you how the quark works and what the strong nuclear force really is. Okay? Here we go. Size. This is what I wanted to show you. Okay? Now, as I described to you before during my lecture on electrons, when they are normally traveling in their truest entity, the form they want to be, where they're in equilibrium, they are essentially a cloud, a giant vortex that's blown out to be like this cloud entity that's the size of an atom itself, traveling, wanting to go the speed of light. But the second that they start interacting with like a gravitational field or interacting with another atom, a molecule, or maybe you're taking a measurement of this cloud electron, well, now it's going to be have forces and stresses put on it. They're going to shrink this vortex to its smallest, most stable form, which would be like a point zero size, whatever, vortex. It's very, very tiny. It starts off very, very big, but as soon as you start messing with it and trying to measurements, now it goes to a point particle size, which is like a duality of it, depending on whether it's being affected by something or not. Well, quarks are also the exact same way, okay? They're considered to be point-like entities with zero size. But this is not really true because if there was a quark that could exist outside of a proton, a baryon, a fermion, whatever, then it would also behave similar to an electron when it's traveling in its cloud-like form. But quarks are much more unstable than electrons. They don't like to be alone, and they don't like to be outside of an atom's walls. And I haven't really dug into that too much. I've been thinking so many things. I'm sure there's a really cool, interesting quark. I don't know why that is, but not to worry about that another day. Okay. Now, as of 2014, experiments indicates they are no bigger than the size of the proton. Yeah, so unless okay, so this is like a one with like 3 zeros in front of it. Okay, so that would be like 1,000 times smaller than the size of the proton. So the quark is 1,000 times smaller than the proton. Very similar to the electron. They're pretty much about the same size when they're in their point form. Okay? And that's the form they're going to be in when it's going to be, the quark is going to be interplaying with the electron to create a down quark. Okay? So, let us go here. Okay, now, up quark pair production refers to the process of a pair of quarks that are created simultaneously in high energy collisions. Let's save this for a little bit later. Okay. Yeah, let's save that for later. I probably should put that later. Okay. So, just so you know what a vortex is, we're going to briefly gloss over vortexes to show you kind of their signatures and their traits and what they do and blah 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 blah. Just so you know what I'm talking about when I say a quark and electrons are vortexes. Okay. So a vortex is basically like a torrid. Okay. In fact, let me torrid. Toroid. Toroid. Okay. So, a toroid is just basically like a bunch of wires throwing your current this way, which creates a magnetic field going this way. But it can be reversed. It doesn't have to be this way. It can be, you can have the current going this way and your magnetic field surrounding it. And that's actually what's going on in an electron. Okay? But just so you know, that's a toroid. And essentially, that is what a vortex is. Okay? It's acting like a torrid. It has all this that's spinning around, just like the current of a torrid. The only difference is it doesn't. It probably does have some flow going circularly this way too, which makes it circular. I bet it does, but who knows? I haven't really dug into the physics of this, so I can't. I don't want to dig too deep into this thing. But yeah. So that is a vortex. Okay, and they can do amazing things. All right, just to show you some of the things that these vortexes can do. Like, I guess this guy's like the vortex world champion. Okay, he's gonna see it. He's gonna shrink it, manipulate it, expand it out long ways like it's malleable. Okay, and he's going to split it into two vortexes where they naturally want to be in this stable equilibrium where they want to meet the ends to make a full vortex. That's the state that the vortex wants to be in, is that state. So if you cut it in half, it will try and meet in half. Now, I don't really know if this is so possible when it comes to electrons and quarks for various reasons. I'm probably going to have to dig into the double slit experiment video, but my point is, you can do all sorts of things with them. They're not rigid. They're very malleable things that are dynamic and they interplay with everything around them, but they do have stability and equilibrium going on. Okay. And the thing about vortexes, the faster they spin on themselves, like internally, the vortices, I think it's called, what happens is it becomes more stable. So it can travel further, faster, and actually do damage to things and not take damage itself. This is a vortex cannon that farmers been using for like hundreds of years, I guess, or they shoot it up at the clouds like a mile away, and they shoot this vortex of you know, of whatever from gas exploding. Let's see if I can catch it. There it is, right there. Let's see, right there. Yep, there it is. Now it's glowing because they use explosions to create these ones out of this thing, but you see that just, and that thing will travel faster than the speed of sound, cutting through the air itself, and then go all the way to the clouds and hit the clouds and disperse them. It's pretty ridiculous, okay? So just to show you, vortexes are extremely stable when they are going fast enough. Okay, the faster they go, the more stable they're going. And when we're talking about an electromagnetic vortex of the electron, it's going to be traveling roughly at like the fine constant structure ratio, about 1/137th the speed of light is going to be spinning inside of itself. Now, we're going to get into this in a second, but quarks are actually not going at that same speed. They're going a different speed, okay? And just another example. This is like Mark Robert, right? And they had this competition where they all try and shoot down like a bunch of drones, okay? And they use like lasers and I don't know, other drones and all sorts of crazy stuff. And they just couldn't, all of them failed except for this one, this giant vortex cannon this guy created. And
It was actually invented 200 years ago by farmers shooting it at hail clouds in the sky to try and save their crops. But then they found a far less speculative application was just to shoot it towards birds, away from eating all the seeds in the field.
Yeah, see, so farmers been using this to shoot clouds and birds, I guess, apparently. But just to show you, out of all the methods that these geniuses try to come up with to shoot drones down, the only one that actually shot the drone down effectively was the
fire! Fire! Wow, Kevin.
It's gonna.
Oh God!
Look at that drone out of the sky, son.
And it absolutely
immediately
destroyed.
Immediately, just gone, done. Everything else they tried to do failed, but the vortex succeeded. If you want to know the power of a vortex, okay, they're extremely strong, extremely stable. Okay. Now, okay, let's see here. And you might be saying, well, Sean, do we have any evidence that vortexes can form for these structures, like for electrons, electromagnetic vortexes? Yes, here is a paper just a few months ago, August 2024, where yes, a team created an electromagnetic vortex on microwave frequencies, I want to say. But unfortunately, I can't bring up the paper itself. Ever since there was a huge solar storm last night, there's a bunch of websites that are down. If you want to know why we're having so many solar storms, look up my video I did about 2 years ago on the Great Tribulation. It's coming, baby. Whether you believe it or not, it's here. You're going to deal with it. Facts. But yes, this has been done in the laboratory. They've got this all sorted out. EM vortexes, 100% a real thing, and these are actually very stable too. They create these vortexes with like a horn antenna, and they're able to shoot it like up to 18 or centimeter or inches away, and like 2 feet. Actually pretty far for a small vortex they made. I say it's extremely resilient and extremely strong. So these are 100%. This is exactly how everything works, okay? This is what's going on. And if you have any doubts about whether or not this applies to plasmas, like, okay, well, maybe EM fields can form vortexes, but, what about like plasmas? Here you go, bam, dude made a plasma vortex for shizlets and gizzigles. Yeah. So what I'm trying to get across to you guys, vortexes are extremely stable structures that energies like to form when they're being thrust out in a certain way and manner, okay? It just forms naturally. It wants to form a vortex in on itself because it's such a stable thing, okay? This is the way the universe is. This is the way physics is, but they never taught you this because no one ever knew this before me, baby. I'm the prime. I am the omega. So far last, I'm first. Get over it. Ooh, plasma gun testing tutorial. What is this, dude? Is he actually shooting a plasma gun with this? I gotta see this. We're gonna see this. What was that? I missed it. Oh, wow. Yeah, man. So that shot out pretty fast too. Looks like a high capacitor blam discharge. Looks like that rod is somehow guiding the vortex that's forming around it somehow. Man, that's pretty radical. Got a like for that bad boy. Pretty radical. Okay. Now, this is a mind fuck that hit me hard a couple days ago. And I just didn't understand why no one else has ever seen this connection before me. Because had I known this, my God, the only thing I would have ever thought of is that electrons and quarks are vortexes. 100%. Okay? Vortexes have mathematics behind them that can kind of describe things. Okay? Like most things in this universe does. It involves an axis line, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So the universe is dynamic circulation. Principles of a vortex, conservation of vorticity. Vorticity is how fast it spins on itself, okay? So it wants to keep that spinning as long as possible, is what it's basically saying. So you can be stretched out or contact but cannot break, leading to the changes in its strength. Think about this. This principle, vortex stretching, states that the vortex tube can be stretched or contract, but cannot break, leading to changes in its strength. So if we were to have like an electron or a quark made as a vortex, then this vortex stretching principle would say it would stretch out or contract whenever it needed to avoid breaking, making it ridiculously, stupidly strong. The vortex does not want to come apart. It wants to stay a vortex going forever at the speed of light. But of course, it can't go at the speed of light because of inertial drag forces put on it by gravity and also the electric field. So this is the reason why things cannot travel faster than the speed of light. I explain this in other videos if you really care. Okay. Helicity. This is going to get crazy, trust me. Helicity represents the tendency of vortices to twist and turn in 3 dimensions and measure their complexity in a flow field. Interesting. So they're malleable. They can move around and do all sorts of crazy weird things. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Deep dive. Ooh, cyclones and anti-cyclones during solar vortexes. Vertical structures play crucial role in weather patterns. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Okay. Here we start getting to the math. Okay. Here's the main formula to calculate a vortex. Here's the vorticity. Here's like the velocity field. And this is, what was this one? Like change in distance or something from the center to something, if I'm not mistaken. Guess how much parcel is rotating. Okay. How dynamic. Man, we're connecting the dots, blah, blah, blah. Where did I see that stupid thing at, man? Now you're making me look bad, okay? study smarter. You're making me look bad at this point. Vortex equations. Okay, here we go. Basics of vortex dynamics equations. At its core, vortex dynamics revolves around the analysis and prediction of motion of vortexes within a fluid. The foundation is built upon a couple key equations that describe the creation, interaction, and the evolution of these fascinating fluid structures, the Biot-Savart law. The Biot-Savart law. In case you didn't get it. The Biot-Savart law. It's kind of a thing, okay? Now, this is the equation that they use to calculate. The Biot-Savart law offers a way to calculate the velocities of the field induced by a given vortex distribution. It is closely related to Coulomb's law in electrostatics and is expressible as blah, 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 blah. Coulomb's law. It's related to Coulomb's law. Do you know what Coulomb's law is? Gravity at a microscopic scale. When I created my math for dynamic gravity, and just so you know, if you think I'm bullshitting you, I'm going to leave a link for all this stuff in the description like I always do on my videos. With my math that I created based off of Coulomb's law, I can calculate gravity, dark matter, and dark energy perfectly with observation. I am the only human being in existence that can do this. Something you might want to think about before you say, I don't know what I'm talking about, when I spew this shit and I hand wave all of this physics into existence with my willpower alone. And it will be adhered to, or you will never know physics. For I am the one. So we have a law that they use to calculate the creation of vortexes through disturbances. That, guess what? It's also the same law that uses to calculate or to explain how magnetic fields are created from a moving electric charge. Coulomb's law, Coulomb's law, okay, is basically that there is an electrostatic field around a charged particle. And then Coulomb's law calculates the strength of this electrostatic field, hence aka gravity, on a microscopic field, okay, on a level. Biot-Savart's law calculates the magnetic field. The magnetic field that is created from the disturbance of the electric field when the charged particle is moving or accelerating. Okay? Similarities between the Savart's law and Coulomb's law. The field at any point vary inversely as the square of the distance. Okay? So they both have the same fall off rate. They're the same force. They're the same. Both obey superposition principle, meaning you can stack the electric field and the magnetic field upon itself infinitely. Really, it's not infinitely, but you can stack it a lot, but it's not infinite. It's not as they say, but it does adhere to the rule the way they say it does at our level of physics that we're doing things at, that we're calculating and observing things at. It does work. But the way they say it is wrong. It's not infinite. It's not infinite. The magnetic field lines linear to the source just as an electric field because they're created by the same thing. Differences. excuse me. Electric field is produced by a scalar source, Q, whereas a magnetic field is produced by a vector source, IDL. So scalar just means it's there always. Vector means it's a scalar that's moving. It's got velocity, momentum, whatever. The electric field is acting along with the displacement vector, whereas the magnetic field acts as perpendicular. Okay, this explains everything, why things behave the way they do, but we're not going to get on that. This is a whole other thing. And the electric field is not dependent on, what's that, theta? Where the magnetic field depends on theta. Oh, angle theta. So basically it's saying the electric field is, I guess, omnidirectional, where the magnetic field is perpendicular. Kind of what they're trying to say, I believe. I don't know, I'm stupid. What do I know? All right. So here is general 3D vortex, a 2D vortex, blah, 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 blah. And contrast, a 3D vortex, arbitrary shape. However, it is subject to the Helmholtz vortex theorem. Okay. The strength of length of the vortex is consistent all along its length. So it distributes the force evenly, is what they're saying. When the vortex is created, it distributes the force that is undergoing evenly. That's what it's saying. The vortex cannot end inside the fluid. It must either extend out to infinity, end at a solid boundary, or form a closed loop. So, in the interest of entropy and, preserving energy in the universe, which energy flows. The universe does not let to spend energy on bullshit. This is basically saying that either the vortex has to go for infinity or the vortex is going to form a loop. Guess which one's going to happen? Because infinity doesn't really happen very often. Sorry. It's going to form a loop. Ka-ka-ka. Ka-ka-ka. Right there. Okay? And here's the theory, or the mathematics, shape given by the Biot-Savart law. Dude, think about this. We've had a law in existence for like hundreds of freaking years that basically says, that describes vortexes in like water and air, smoke, dust, whatever. And it also is the same law that describes a magnetic field around a moving charged particle. And no one ever thought to put the two together and be like, well, my favorite, what if a moving electric field that creates a magnetic disturbance? It's a vortex. No one ever fucking did that the entire history of man, except for me. And I just can't believe it, man. What the hell, dude? Really? If I would have saw this at age 16, I would have immediately been like, well, clearly that's the fucking answer right there, dude. Clearly. I don't get it. You people are ridiculous. That's all I can say. Humans are ridiculous sometimes. And I'm going to do an episode about that too. Oh boy, yes I am. Oh yes I am, about the neurology, about the human mind. You think I'm just a pretty fucking face that knows physics? I'm a polymath, bitch. I know everything. There's not anything that I don't touch, that I don't master and conquer and make my bitch. But what do I know? I'm still angry at that 13-year-old kid for curb stomping me in the game. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you. I apologize. You know me. I'm only abusive to you because I love you. Okay, so enough of that. Okay, there we go. So I just want you to know it's so obvious that it's a vortex, that electrons and quarks are both vortexes. It's so obvious. It's ridiculous. It is stupid that no one has figured this out before me. It is absolutely stupid. I'm so disappointed in my species right now. It is ridiculous. Okay, so now we go into production of quarks. Okay. I'm sorry. 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 I got blown up in Iraq. The World Trade Towers came crashing down, and I signed up to join the military to go to war. And I got blown up in Iraq, and now I'm all fucked up. And I coughed the day I die. I'm sorry. It sucks. Cheers. Okay. Up-quark pair production refers to the process where a pair of quarks are created simultaneously in high-energy collisions. Okay. They're not. They're not made in collisions. What's going on? I came to the realization about a year and a half ago, okay, that, excuse me, electrons begat electrons, okay? When an electron is moving in the presence of the proton, in just the right way, it will create another electron. It will create it's a moving charge, creates a magnetic disturbance, which, as we've seen from the Biot-Savart law, makes a vortex. Electrons create electrons. But at the time, I said that quarks do not begat quarks. Quarks are made in a different manner. They're a different beast. I was wrong. Because I'm stupid. I wasn't on enough drugs that day. I'm sorry. I suck. And my reasoning was because when a proton moves in the presence of an electron, like through fission or fusion, it doesn't create another proton or a quark. It creates a neutrino. But there's a reason for that, which I'll probably go into in the antimatter lecture, okay? But when a quark moves, specifically a quark, not a proton, but just a quark, in a manner that snaps back and forth, it does indeed create a quark. But it doesn't appear to be the same as an electron. You see, my children, we will have an electron. Boop, beep, bop, 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 boop. And the electron is locked in orbit here, right? It wants to come close to these positive quarks. They're like, I love you. And the quark's like, I love you too. But guess what? This electron is already here, and he's like, this is my quark orgy. Go away. And so he's repelling this dude. So this is why they get locked into place. Okay? They get locked into place like this. That's why atoms are stable like this. Whenever this electron absorbs another photon that's created by an electron, or an electron, it doesn't absorb the electron, but it'll bounce it out, it will go bloop, bloop, and that bloop, bloop creates either a photon or another electron, depending on how fast the bloop, bloop happens. Okay? Now, when it comes to quarks, you got to remember, they are all fighting. You got 3 up quarks fighting for this one electron right here, okay? They all want a piece of this electron, and they're greedy. And so sometimes it's a known thing. It's a known thing that there are all sorts of crazy shit that just randomly spawns inside a proton. And nobody knew why. People were like, I don't know. People do weird things. I'm explaining it to you. I'm telling you why. What is going on. Okay? As this electron is moving around, it's moving around in the presence of quarks, which is spawning all sorts of weird fucking electromagnetic things. But when the electron is connected to a quark and it becomes a down quark, and it is a whole entity. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. You could do it, Sean. Okay. So when this quark is a down quark for the brief millionth of a second that it is, a billionth of a second, whatever it is, it's not very long. Sometimes shit happens, and there's stress put upon this proton for whatever reason. Who knows? Various weird oddities, things happen, and this will go bloop bloop, bloop bloop. You see that? Bloop bloop. Very similar to the bloop bloop of the electron, which creates another electron. Okay, only this one is the quark. And it's going to go bloop, bloop. For whatever reason, it's going to go, not this way. It's going to pull back, then go back. Because it's going to snap back. So it's going to go. And this is a known thing that happens. I'm not making this shit up. It is known for a fact that when quarks are created, one of the quarks will pull itself apart, and then the imaginary force of the weak force will pull them back together, and its energy will be snapped in half and create a new quark-anti-quark pair production. That's what they fucking say right now, because they're retarded and they don't know. I'm explaining to you what is actually happening, okay? This is not what's happening. They think that there's so much energy being dumped in this from the quark being pulled so far away, but not wanting to break apart from the down quark or the other up quark. When it pulls it, it creates this energy that magically creates a quark and a quark. Bullshit. They don't know what they're talking about. Don't listen to them. They don't know. I do. I promise. I'm not saying I know everything yet, but I'm pretty fucking close to this point, all right? I told you I was never going to give up until I know everything. And I think at this point, I'm really, really, really close to being there. Because I have solved every single mystery in physics, okay? You name it. Cosmological antimatter crisis, solved. Dark matter, solved. Dark energy, solved. Fine structure constant, solved. Bam, everything. What a quark is, solved. What an electron is, solved. Where they all came from, solved. How the universe began, solved. How it all ends, solved. Everything, solved. I have solved everything. Everything I have solved and posted on long, extensive lecture videos on this channel, on YouTube. I did that. And it all started from a simple premise of a up quark and an electron together form a down quark. Something that we have known forever. Is that it? No. Forever we've known this. Like 100 years. But for some reason, they just don't want to believe it. I don't understand. It's so weird. Anyways, yeah, this is all bullshit. This is not what happens, okay? So, let's delete this because you're wrong. Okay? So what happens is this will snap away. For whatever reason, things happen. Pull back and snap back. Choo-choo. Choo-choo. We now have a moving charge. Well, guess what? When you have a charge that moves back and forth like this, according to Salverte's law, we get a vortex. And we know this happens because this is what happens on electrons. When they do the same thing, boop, boop, they spit out an electron. It's the exact same thing for a quark. The only difference that I can find is, though, it's not a single quark, bloop, bloop, that's going apart. It's actually, for reasons I don't understand yet, it only does it for some reason. So it seems when the down quark, what the hell are you, what? Why aren't you? There. When the down quark, bloop, bloop, moves like this, that's when it wants to create a new quark. But because you have a positive entity, the quark, and the negative entity, the electron, bound together as one entity embedded within the other, this is what spawns not only a quark, but an anti-quark particle. This is the secret to antimatter. Whenever you have, I'm going to go into this when you're antimatter, another week or so. When this goes down, boop, boop, in the presence of just the electric field all right here, on the field of the proton, whatever, you get an electron. But if you do some weird funky shit, like you make this electron go bloop, bloop, like all the way through the positive field, back into the negative field, and back again, now you get some crazy, ridiculous shit, like a electron plus a positron. Weird shizit happens. I'm still trying to work out the finer details, but we're almost there. It's coming. Trust me, I got it all worked out. It's going to be good. So, this is how the quark and anti-quark are always made together because it is the down quark, which has the positive quark and the negative electron working together as moving charges. And for some fucking reason, this creates not only another quark, but the opposite of it, which would be an anti-quark. Okay? It's a thing. Now, I didn't know this, but quarks do not like to be outside of this proton, okay, of the baryon. If this quark goes outside the proton too far, it just, I don't know, dissipates, withers away, turns into nothingness. It doesn't like to exist like that. There's something. It's weird. I don't know everything yet. So, quarks are made in the nucleuses of atoms. And as I explained to you, but I didn't understand at the time, like 2 years ago, when I came up with the gradual universe theory to replace the Big Bang theory, because I realized, I'm like, fuck the Big Bang, dude. It's not compatible with dynamic gravity. It doesn't work. It's freaking, it's stupid. And so I created the gradual universe theory to explain the origins of the universe. And on that, I proposed the postulate. I proposed that matter must begat matter somehow, but I didn't know how at the time. But I said it has to be, or this isn't correct. And I know this is correct because otherwise nothing makes sense. So, when you have matter, it tends to want to make more matter. Electrons want to make more electrons, and quarks want to make more quarks. And so the more matter you have, the more matter you have being generated. Ba-bang. How you like me now? This is the way it is. This is the way it is. Hey, we still got a couple more revelations to go. We're almost done, but we got a couple more revelations. We're not done yet, children. We're not done yet. Now, proton to quark mass ratio. Some days are better than others. Be what it be. Now, a proton is about 1,800 times larger than an electron. Okay? So, if we were to simply split this in a third and say, well, 3 quarks, split it by a third, then a quark would be essentially about 600 times larger than an electron. But this isn't really the case, or at least heavier. My bad, mass. It'd be heavier, meaning how it interacts with gravity to a certain way, okay? But there is something I'm not explaining to you yet, okay? I told you that an electron is going to be doing its vortice, it's spinning at about 1/137th the speed of light, give or take. But a quark, this snapping process that I've explained to you, bloop, bloop, because there's so much more energy binding this together, and it takes more energy to pull this apart so it snap than it does an electron to move. Bloop, bloop. This actually occurs faster. Which means the vortex that is spawned is going to have a faster vortice, a faster spin within itself. And remember what I told you. Remember what we learned. The faster the spin, the faster the vortex spins, man, I can't even catch it. There's perfect. The faster that vortex is spinning, the more stable it is. Now, if you watched my lecture on black holes, supermassive black holes, that I did a few lectures ago, you would take away a couple of things. One of those things is that quarks are inherently more stable and stronger than electrons. Once again, another prediction I made that I couldn't back up at the time. But now, magically, I can. It's almost like I'm fucking right, and I know what I'm talking about. I just haven't gotten the math to prove it yet, because it's just me, and I'm a stupid, drug addict, freaking video game junkie, and I don't care. I don't get paid to do this either. You know? Even this YouTube channel. I can't even make money, dude. All I'm doing, this is costing me money to make. Costing me money, okay? I have redefined all of known physics, and I didn't get paid a damn cent to do it. In fact, I paid money to do it. Something you want to think about. Now, so, because this snapping, boop, bloop, happens faster because of the more energies that are required to hold this bad boy together than this guy being binded here, the spin of this vortex of the quark is going to be faster. I don't know exactly how fast, but I would wager if there's if the charge is being divided by a third, for whatever reason, then probably I would estimate that the counterplay is the vortice, the spin of the vortex is being tripled. So it goes up by 3 times, which means that effectively it's not a bad guesstimation. I can't back it up math right now, but that this bloop bloop, bloop bloop happens 3 times faster than the electrons bloop bloop when it wants to make another electron. Meaning that the quark could theoretically be 3 times stronger and more stable than an electron. Okay? And I haven't even gotten to the crazy part yet. Oh my god. Oh. Okay. So, now you gotta remember, this mass is not as simple as, well, let's add the mass of the Earth quark to the mass of the electron. Okay? You have to remember what mass is. Okay? What weight is, how it's affected by gravity. Okay? A simple up quark alone is not going to be affected by gravity near the same way as an up quark that is attached to an electron. Okay? And especially when you got to remember, when the entire universe, the core of every star, boop, 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 and every black hole, boop, 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 boop. I like that. Star, black hole. Star, black hole. I kind of like that, right? Kind of makes sense. I love when things come together. Okay. The core of all that is all pumping out the positive force. Okay? The proton's force. Okay? Gravity. Not the electric field, the proton's field. Okay? So the universe we live in now is completely dominated by the protonic field, gravity, not the electric field. Although I have come up with another thing called other realm, where this is not the case due to equilibrium, like a balance, ticking. That's coming in a month or so. That's going to blow your fucking mind. You like the multiple universe theory? This is going to blow your fucking mind. I'm still totally mind fucked by it. Like, I'm like, it's insane. Other world is insane. Other realm is insane. That's coming. I got so many curveballs coming at you, children. Hope you can take duck dodge and do whatever. Okay. Okay. So we are dominated by the positive field, and this is the quark is a positive entity. So it is totally going to be affected mass and weight-wise completely different than, say, an electron is. It's a completely different effect that's being, it's almost completely polar. Completely different. So this is why trying to correlate like mass and weight and stuff with these things, it just doesn't work out. It really doesn't. And another thing I want you to notice is that, remember I told you, the electron has 3 energy states, right? Lowest, medium, highest, right? Electron, muon, tau, okay? And then the neutrino does as well. And I explained to you, how the neutrino works. Well, this is more proof that if we didn't need any more already, that the up quark and down quark, whatever, are vortexes, that they also share this same tri-energy state, where they can have low, medium, high energy states of equilibriums kicking in. It's all proof that this, and this are all the same thing, my child. They're all vortexes. But there is a final thing that I have not told you yet that is about to blow your brains out all over the walls. I told you. The electron emanates an electric field. Okay? It does this. As the vortex is spinning in on itself, I explained this in my last video, how this creates the electric field. Spinning out like a radar wave, whoop, 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 hitting all angles omnidirectional as it spins out, it going at like 1/3 the speed of light. Very, very fast. But a quark is not an electric field. It is the opposite of an electric field, but not the counter as far as antimatter is, where you have a positron. Totally different beast. A quark is an actual separate entity that just likes electric fields, okay? And if the electron emits the electric field, and I went off into this when 2 years ago when I went down the rabbit hole of Poisson. If you want to look at that video, my son, that's a very, very interesting rabbit hole that we dived headfirst into. Let's go. So, whenever we have an electron that's emanating an electric field and it moves, the disturbance creates a magnetic field. And this, according to the Bayat-Savart law, creates the electromagnetic vortices. Okay? So electric field moves, creates magnetic field, boom, output EM vortexes. Well, when you have a quark does not emit an electric field. It's not the same thing, my son. The quark is actually emitting a gravitational field. That's what you think of a gravity is what this quark is emitting. The electron is emitting an electric field. Quark is emitting a gravitational field. And guess what? When this quark moves, bloop, 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 according to Poisson, bloop, 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 you now have a new disturbance that is created that is similar to the electron's magnetic field, but it's not from the electric field, from the gravitational field. And so what I called this 2 fucking years ago, I predicted this shit. But I didn't understand it at the time. But I knew it was real because I'm the real fucking deal, man. I fucking know shit. I am the one. And so what it creates, I called a gravnetic field. Gravnetic field. Electric field, electric moves, creates magnetic field. Gravity field, gravity moves, creates gravnetic field. So, when we have these torads, can I? Where did the torads go? There we go. We have a torah. Okay? Now, remember what I said, electron is most definitely going to be a magnetic field circulating around a spiraling electric field. So, to translate this into quark language, it is going to be a gravnetic field swirling around and confining and containing a gravitational field. Gravity. My son, I told you 2 years ago when I predicted a gravnetic field. Look at my lecture on Poisson's rabbit hole. I predicted this. And here we are. Now I can finally explain everything. A gravnetic field confines a gravitational field as a magnetic field confines an electric field. One is created and manifested from the electron. The other is created and manifested from the quark. I have conquered the gravnetic field. I finally know exactly what the hell it is and what the hell it does. I, and I alone, know how the alien UFOs work. Let that sink in. I am the one. I'm sorry, I'm still mad about that 13-year-old kid. He stopped me. It hurt. It hurt my feelings. It butt hurt me. Okay. I think I built a cookie and now I'm really fucking blitz. I think that's it. But I don't know because I suck. Let me check my notes. Okay. Okay. I wanted to say I started this whole endeavor by saying that quarks must be an EM field like an electron, proven by quark antimatter. Because if the quark makes antimatter, antiquarks, the same way and the same methodology that an electron makes, then it has to be related somehow, some way. I knew this. But I couldn't explain it a month ago, so I couldn't say it to you, because it'd be irresponsible of me. I told you to be irresponsible of me. I'm not a liar. I'm many things. I'm a bastard. I'm an asshole. I'm a fucking murderer. I'm not a liar. I've never lied in my whole fucking life. Ever. Okay. Okay. Quarks and electron, we're stable. Got that. Okay. And also, the only thing I know of that will create a 360-degree omnidirectional field is a spinning thing, like a vortex, like the electron do. So I already knew from the get-go, everything was pointing the vortex. I just had to figure out why, what the difference was, what was going on there. And I do that. I know now. And now you know. Who's your boy? Okay. Okay, magnetic field, blah, blah, blah. Okay, da-da-da, other realm, okay, blah, blah, blah. This me, okay, yep, got that, okay, yep, got that. Okay. Double slit experiment with quarks. We'll go into that with the double slit experiment lecture, which I'll do in a little bit. Vortex, reload, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yep, got it all. Bam. Mission success. I have taught you everything that I know today. At this point, tomorrow might be different. But today, right now, about quarks. And I hope that you take my words seriously. I hope you've listened to this whole video. I know it's long, and I know I'm annoying, and I rant, and I'm a loser, but I'm right. And I'm your loser, and I'm here for you. So let's do this together. Let's log on to WoW. And let's destroy that 13-year-old kid. Fuck that dude. I'm done. Okay, all right. Adios. I love you. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
Like, subscribe, submit.